Welcome to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Today, we'll show you how to use the spirit of love and self-worth to improve the connections with everyone else in your life. This program is your weekly gift, and it will keep on giving. You'll see. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jean Marie Farish.
Greetings and a hearty welcome, everyone. I hope you're all faring well. I'm Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, coming to you from Voice America, shining love light into your hearts and homes to inspire, enlighten, and empower you to create a life you love. Many thanks to our worldwide listeners. Today, we are honored with the presence of Karen Docherty joining us from Scotland on our very special Valentine's Day show, The Spirit Within. A relevant quote by Carl Jung: "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." It is essential for us to go within and develop our inner being to awaken to who we truly are. When we develop a healthy and soulful relationship with ourselves and connect with the spirit within, this indwelling spirit inspires us to master ourselves and live in love, peace, and joy. Moreover, we awaken to our true selves, peeling away feelings of unworthiness and all that is unaligned with our highest good. And our amazing guest today, Karen Docherty, joining us from Scotland, will show us just how to connect with the spirit within. Karen is known as the Woman with Spirit, an internationally renowned medium and mentor. Since the discovery of her abilities, she's worked tirelessly to bring the word of spirit to those who need it. From the UK to the USA, from Asia to Australia, clients from all over the world meet with Karen to receive readings, enroll in mentorships, and share a space for the discussion on the power of spirit. She offers a breath of fresh air and a contemporary approach to psychic work and mediumship based on traditional principles. Filled with love and compassion, Karen stands as one of the most reputable and skilled mediums in modern times. So now I welcome Karen Docherty on our show today, The Spirit Within. Karen, welcome to Love Light.
Thank you, Jean, and thank you for having me today.
And thank you for returning to Love Light on such an enlightening and empowering episode for Valentine's Day. So Karen, can you tell us a little bit about your work, your connection to the spirit world, and who comes through to guide you?
Yes, of course. My connection to the spirit world really started when I was much younger, maybe around the ages of 3 or 4. I started to have experiences of seeing spirit or feeling their presence. And even though I was so young, I remember knowing that they were from what I used to call the other place. And I think throughout my childhood and into my teenage years, that just continued along that path. Sometimes it became a little more intense, other times it kind of dissipated, but it was always there in some sense. And I think then going into sort of young adulthood, I realised what it was and that it was mediumship. And I'd always been kind of drawn to mediumship. I had read books on it. I had followed certain mediums. I had watched mediums on, TV by that time, and really just always had this massive attraction towards mediumship. So when it all fell into place and I realised, of course, I was mediumistic, it let me then explore what is spirit and why. And I remember feeling, if I'm going to do this, if this is my vocation here, if this is what I'm supposed to do to help people, then I want to know that I'm doing it properly and authentically. And that kind of led me down a path of doing a lot of development and self-development and understanding.
That is just fantastic. And that's a powerful message for listeners who maybe have special gifts and talents and let fear block them, and you followed your path and gosh, look, you help so many people around the world today. So thank you for sharing that. Karen, do you have any messages from Spirit? You know, we're experiencing a lot of transformation and changing times, lots of chaos. Can you share any messages from Spirit to help us?
Yeah, I think that people at this moment in time are looking for something, they're looking for that message from somewhere to kind of guide us through difficult times. But I often think, it doesn't kind of matter what time we are at. Like if we go 50 years ago or maybe even 100 years ago, at certain times, the humanity needed some sort of message to guide them. And I always feel that that comes from the higher realms. Some people will say God, some people have faith in religion, other people call it spirit, but whatever we call that, it's the same source, it's the higher power. And what I feel, especially at this moment in time, is that there is an awakening happening. There is more understanding of spirit. I think a lot comes down to, the way that we see things in the media now. We're so accessible now. We can watch things. I mean, if you look at social media platforms on their own, there's so much on there that you can have access to, whereas before, maybe in years gone by, that didn't happen. But that kind of is a double-edged sword, because on one level, there's a lot that could be used to fear, and bring fear and anxiety. And then on the other side of it, there are people giving messages and giving people reassurance that there is a higher power and that we are being looked after. So I think what it comes down to is making sure that we connect to that higher power. And the message that I receive when I look at that is, that there is a change, but there needs to be a change, and we shouldn't fear that change. It is something that if we come together on it, it will empower us and it will be more beneficial for us going forward.
That's so powerful. It's like accepting what is and trusting that, it's all gonna benefit us in ways that we can never imagine, but everything is happening for our highest good, even in the world, right? And sometimes it's hard to understand that, but looking at, where we want to be and how we want ourselves to be and how we want our world to be during these changing times and moving forward, that's a very powerful message. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's, I think there needs to be something that people can grasp and start to try and understand, because like I said, there's always been times of fear and anxiety for every generation. But I think because we are more open to it through media, it causes more anxiety, more grief, more, uncertainty, I suppose. So yeah, coming together and kind of accepting that there is a higher power will help.
Well, your message from Spirit is certainly comforting. And Karen, today it's Valentine's Day, and many people are kind of looking for love outside of themselves. Can you share any messages for those who perhaps have lost loved ones, maybe mired in grief and, looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for that external validation? Any message for us on this day and every day is a day of love, but how we have special days to highlight. Any special message for today?
Yes, I think you're right. Valentine's Day is seen as that day of love, and you're quite correct in saying, every day should be looked upon in that way. But as we know, life, we go through life and there's hard days and there's easier days, but especially on Valentine's Day, people do tend to miss their loved ones if they are in the spirit side. But more than that, for people here that either aren't in a relationship or haven't found that love, or maybe they've found the wrong love and it's not worked out, the highlight of Valentine's Day sometimes brings pain. But what I would say to that is, again, going to the spirit within and realizing that really these relationships that we have in this lifetime have to be helping us or serving us in some way, just like we would serve others with our love. And I think if that hasn't happened in someone's life, or it's happened in the wrong way, it's difficult for that person to kind of not be traumatized in some way or not carry feelings of trauma afterwards. And really, it's so important to realize that the first love that you need to start with is your own, for yourself. And I don't think we are nearly kind enough to ourselves. I think, certainly with my upbringing, we were always taught to be humble and, not think too much of ourselves, because, that means that you're maybe a little bit, what we would get called too big for your boots in Scotland. But really, in my development through my work, I realised that's the wrong message. We should really all realise that we have this huge power within us and that we are capable of navigating this life no matter what it throws at us. I'm not saying it won't be difficult or there's not hard times or it won't hurt sometimes, but because that power within is there, we can navigate that and we can get through it. And also the loved ones in the spirit world, for people, if you are missing someone who has crossed over, they are never far away. They are always right by your side. The minute you think about them, they are right there, and they can be with many people all at once. So if you have siblings that are maybe thinking of your parents, for instance, your parents can be with you all at the same time. So don't be frightened to ask, voice it, speak about it, ask your loved ones to come in. And even if it's not about someone who has passed and it's about yourself, speak to your higher self, speak to yourself. I do it all the time. I think my kids have kind of grown up listening to me babbling on, outwardly to the spirit world, but that's how I roll. So they're used to it, but there's nothing wrong with it, and you are always listened to.
Karen, that's so reassuring. To know that we're really never alone, and there are all kinds of messages that come forth, and it's like I really look for the spiritual totems like the cardinals and the birds, and okay, what messages may be coming through, or loved ones that may have messages. And so I kind of pay attention to, just the outer world and what are messages that are coming through for me from past loved ones, whether it's through dreams or, and you're going to talk a little bit more about how we can connect. But I think we have to kind of be aware of what's coming through and not dismiss it, because sometimes we doubt it and dismiss it.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing, is not trusting that there is someone there. And I know that it's hard. I mean, it might feel easy for me to say it because I know that spirit are there, because I can link with them. So I understand it's difficult sometimes for people who don't know that for sure. But honestly, just putting that faith out there and understanding that there is something even the thought of that will help someone get through a hard time, or understand that there's a bigger energy there that they can rely upon.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing how we get signs, like I get white feathers, I get coins, and it really makes me more aware and know. And I just say, thank you, because they just appear. And it's like, whether it's from a loved one or an angel, it's like, gosh, I'm being seen, and I know I'm never alone.
Exactly. And there's many signs, and those are just some of them, and they're amazing.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to talk a little bit more, of course, in the second segment about tools, strategies, techniques to connect with the spirit within. Before we go on break, can you share why this is so important and how this can guide our lives?
Yeah, of course. And, speaking of signs, who doesn't want to see something with their own eyes? I think this is what the human being needs. We need to see the evidence, and that's very important. So if we see something with our own eyes, we can then somehow believe in it a little bit more, I suppose. But when these signs don't happen as often as we would like, or maybe they're a little bit more subtle, then it can work against us and take that faith away. So I feel that when we talk in the second segment about how to connect and how to recognize those signs, it will really help people understand the subtlety of spirit, because it is very subtle.
So important. And learning how to really trust ourselves and pay attention to be alert to the signs. And as you indicated, people want to see it. They want to feel that connection. They want to know it. That's kind of how we're trained. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. And sometimes, Karen, we want things to happen instantly. But what I have found is that sometimes I ask for the guidance and then I just wait. I don't struggle with it. I wait. And then in the least moment expected, the answer comes through.
That's absolutely true. And I always say to myself when I'm looking for an answer or looking for something, what I say is give it to God and go to sleep, because at the end of the day, it will be delivered, and it will be delivered at the right time. It's like putting in an order at a restaurant. You put the order in and then the food appears on your table. You don't know what goes on in the kitchen. And it's the same kind of thing. Let them take care of that, but ask for it and you will receive.
Definitely. Wow. Well, we're going to take a brief commercial break. So for our listeners, stay tuned for more on this very special Valentine's Day show with Karen Docherty. She's joining us from Scotland, woman with spirit, internationally renowned medium and mentor. On our show today, The Spirit Within. Stay tuned. We'll return shortly.
Announcing Dr. Jean Marie Farish's new book, Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations. This is the companion piece to Dr. Farish's best-selling book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being. Through the new book, we invite you to cultivate a lifestyle of love through daily devotional practices over a 21-day period, following 9 ingredients in the recipe of love. Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations is available on Amazon.com and Balboa Press.
Jean Marie Farish's Center for Conscious Loving, LLC, cultivates a lifestyle of love and wholehearted connections through personal growth, altruistic services, and speaking engagements. Resources include classes, workshops, life care coaching, and creative service projects with an emphasis on cultural arts. Visit the website at drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com. That's drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com, or click the link on the Love Light show page.
Best-selling authors international, news honors best-selling authors around the globe. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is featured in the newly released issue of Published magazine. To have first access to this treasured resource, go to publishedmagazine.com. Vicki Winterton and Dr. Jean Marie Farish have compiled a dynamic book, We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another, an anthology with 24 highly diverse co-authors who share how to spread the message of love, resilience, inclusivity, and compassion. This book is an invaluable source of uplifting, inspiring, and positive insights for spreading positivity in the world. We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another is available on Amazon.com. Be sure to get your copy today. Follow Voice America at Facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
You are tuned in to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Feel free to connect with our program through email or check out our links on Facebook. Reach Jean at Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. That's Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. And now, back to Love Light.
Welcome back to Love Light, Living in the Spirit of Love, our very special Valentine's Day show today, The Spirit Within, with our amazing guest, Karen Docherty, joining us from Scotland. Certainly an enlightening, empowering show. Karen is an internationally renowned medium and mentor. And in this segment, she's going to share tools and tips and strategies to connect with the spirit from within. So Karen, thank you so much for the information shared in that first segment. So what are ways that we can really connect with to the spirit within. And my question is, I know we hear a lot about how to develop our inner being, that connection with our higher self. So can you share more about that as you move into the tools and strategies with listeners who are tuning in?
Yeah, of course. And I do think that this is a subject that, some people will have information on by maybe reading up on it or, Googling it or speaking to other mediums and development groups, but a lot of people don't know how to do it, and a lot of people think that they can't do it and that it's only for people who are psychic or mediumistic, and that's not strictly true. So every one of us, when we come here from spirit, because we come from there and we live our life here and then we go back home again, but when we come here we have that psychic ability, because the world of spirit is a world of thought. There's nothing physical there, so it's a mind-to-mind communication, which is psychic. And when we come here, we still hang on to that ability, albeit it's at different levels for people. Everyone has an intuition or a sixth sense. That's the part of their spirit that still communicates with the conscious mind. But some people can develop that to high degrees where they will work as a psychic. Other people can develop it for their own personal life. And that's one thing that I would encourage everyone to do for themselves, is be aware of your thoughts from your spirit, your sixth sense, your intuition, that hunch that you get about something or someone. That is your spirit speaking to you, and your spirit will never let you go wrong in life. So it is like an inner sat nav. I call it my inner sat nav that will guide me through life. And on top of that, then you have your spirit team of guides who work with you and help you and protect you. They cannot take decisions in your life and they can't influence decisions in your life because you have free will, but they are there to help navigate your way through this earthly life. So learning to kind of communicate within yourself is a big stepping stone to understanding how that information is received and how you make that connection. And for me, that always starts with learning to meditate or go into a quiet place within yourself. And meditation doesn't always mean sitting in a quiet room for an hour at a time. Meditation can mean a walk within nature, a walk in the woods or the forest, or a walk by some water, or somewhere that makes you feel calm, and just really being aware of your own thoughts, your own presence within that moment, and just feeling who you are and feeling that power within. And that's the first thing that you would have to do to understand where that spirit of you is, so that you can go on and make those connections.
That's really powerful. I was just thinking about, so many people feel unworthy, unloving, unlovable. How can the spirit within help us connect with that place within us that is pure love?
So when you kind of understand what the spirit within is, which is the spirit part of you, which is that part of you that never left the spirit world, is always connected. You're in your ethereal body within your spirit. So that lives within the human form. And the human form, the human being part of you, is that part of you that lives in this world. So there's always the two different counterparts. But connecting with that self within the human self is that pure love part, is that part where you will receive that. But in the human form, you tend to, life conditions you. So it might be that you can't feel that for yourself. Maybe you've been through a hard time in life, or maybe there's been trauma, or maybe there's things that kind of cloud that self-love. And it's learning to develop yourself to get past that and understand, actually, I am worth this. I am deserving of that love. And if someone can get past those conditioning things, then they will connect with that pure love. And that spirit within that you're connected with, of course, is connected to the higher souls on the other side too. So it only can empower you the more you learn to use it and adjust to it. But I think that the first thing is understanding that it's real and having the faith that it is real so that it can make the changes as you do your development.
That's so important, because it's like we lose that connection with, as you indicated, from deep conditioned fears and not really being true to ourselves, and just adopting the societal beliefs, and that puts us into this mode of struggle and fear and worry. So the benefits, you can talk a little bit about the benefits of that. Of course, maybe relieving some of this frustration, returning us back to loving, and most importantly, loving ourselves first.
Yeah, exactly. And the benefits of that understanding and of that faith in yourself, in your higher self, is that the way that it can make your life so much easier here, because we all know that life can be hard for people, and we all face situations in life that are difficult or hurtful or maybe bring some pain. Likewise, we face situations that are enlightening and are full of blessings, but it fluctuates between both, because we are here to learn lessons, we are here to self-develop, so we need both sides of the coin with that. But understanding that connection, that deeper connection, can definitely help navigate you through those painful times. And also when it's the pleasurable times, when things are good, it makes you appreciate that and really feel that on a deep level. And kind of opening up your soul, I think that's quite a scary thing to do for some people. It's a vulnerable thing to do. But if you can do it at least for yourself, it doesn't need to be for everyone else, it can be for yourself, then accepting that that does exist will in time help you develop in other ways that will or can only help you and be beneficial.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Can we connect with the spirit guides and past loved ones for insight and guidance?
Absolutely. I think that that's a thing that people ask all the time for a medium. Is it only mediums that can do that? But it's not. We each have our guides here, regardless of what we do in life, we all have a spirit team, and our loved ones, of course, are connected with us. So loved ones in the spirit side are not connected with a medium. They're connected with you. You're the person, you're the link in between the medium and the spirit person. So basically anyone can ask their loved ones to come forward and be with them, or give them a sign that they are there. And again, developing that trust within the feelings of spirit will help you feel that loved one in spirit in time. So it all starts with your own development. It all starts with your own spirit. But if you choose to do that, you will feel your loved ones come forward. You will feel guides come forward if you meditate and ask them to give you information or knowledge, or let you know that they are there by their presence in some ways. The more that you practice that, the more you will be aware of the changes in the energy field. You will know, oh, that's the same that I had the last time, so that means that my guide's stepping forward. And all of these things can help you make a deeper connection.
Oh, thank you for that. And one question that comes forth is, like, for those who have significant loved ones who's passed away, and of course, as you indicated earlier, Valentine's Day can bring forth grief thoughts about, loved ones who's lost. What about things left unsaid? Gosh, and people are caught up in grief, and, well, if I only had said that, or I didn't take the time to do that. How can relationships be mended with past loved ones, or how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a big one, that I encounter often, sadly, but I do. And often when someone passes away, especially if it's a sudden passing or that there's been conflict before the passing, people here are left with that guilt sometimes, or that feeling of, it puts it in perspective. It wasn't worth not speaking to that person, or how do I deal with these feelings that are left after that person passes away? And making that communication with that loved one through a medium or yourself can really help lay things to rest. And I know through readings that I have done with clients that can come around more often than what I would like, because we are human and there's fallouts and there's conflict and there's different things that happen in life, or maybe someone passes quickly and we didn't get that chance to say goodbye. But taking that reading into a place of a direct communication between the two parties will help heal both sides. So you have to remember as well that that person in the spirit world will also feel what you're feeling. They will also feel that bereavement. They will also feel the words that were unsaid. They will also feel the regret maybe of certain situations. So they want to come forward to make that better and to bring healing to that situation. So it really can help with those situations.
And you do a lot of readings for clients around the world. Are there any special stories you want to share for our listeners about any outcomes of those empowering and enlightening readings that you do for clients?
There are so many, I get asked this often, and I always try to think, okay, which one will I tell? And there is so many different ones. I think one that does come to mind was of a little boy who passed away. He was 10 years old, and it was his mother that I was speaking with. And I gave her lots of evidence. I told her how he passed and what had happened, and all of that was correct information. And yet I just felt, this isn't reaching her. Like, I could feel within her soul that this isn't reaching her. She listens to me and she's agreeing with things and it's verified information, but I just felt it wasn't touching her soul. And so towards the end of the reading, I, in my mind, said to the little boy, I'm going to need your name. You're going to have to tell me your name. I kind of felt that that's what the mum was waiting for. And in normal practice, I would always say to people, any client, don't look for names. If they come through the mediumship, that's fine. But the medium can't always find the name. It doesn't always work that way. But on this occasion, I knew that this mother needed to hear that. And straight away, the little boy said, Kai. And so I relayed that to the mother. I said, look, he's telling me his name was Kai. And right there and then it changed everything. And she broke down. She was upset. There was a lot of emotion, of course. But she said to me afterwards, I believed in you. I knew that you were correct, but I just needed that. And that changed her from that minute on, because she knew that her little boy was definitely there. And these stories, these, circumstances happen quite often. And although as a medium, I would always say, don't go expecting things, but the medium should give you enough so that it's evidential. But sometimes you just need that little bit extra.
What a beautiful story to share. And, what's so insightful is that you were able to feel what she needed, and that she wasn't connecting or whatever. And then her son came through with his name that enabled her to really believe, right? Okay, I get it.
Yeah, and it's people do look for certain things, but likewise, I've sat with people who have passed. I've sat with them whilst they pass. One of them being my own mother, and likewise, I can feel the soul. Like, I felt my mum's spirit move. I felt that it was on the move. I knew when she was going to pass, and I was communicating with her the whole time. And it's such a privilege, and it's such a blessing.
Wow, how wonderful! That is just amazing. Well, Karen, and for our listeners, we are ready for another brief commercial break. So we will return shortly with more on the Spirit Within with our outstanding guest, Karen Docherty. She's the Woman with Spirit, internationally renowned medium and mentor, on our show today, The Spirit Within. Stay tuned. We will return shortly.
Dr. Jean Marie Farish is proud to announce the release of her new book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being, available now at Balboa Press. This book will help you master your life and flourish in love. You'll learn how to become a better and more evolved you. Feel good by making life-affirming choices. Deepen your feelings and expressions of love. Tune in love and sustain the change. And flourish in love and find your joy. Visit BalboaPress.com and search for Living in the Spirit of Love and enjoy Dr. Farish's new book today.
I'm Judy Satori. I'm a spiritual channel and activator of human potential. You might have heard me speaking on Voice of America on Dr. Jean Farish's show, Love Light, because I've been speaking about the challenges that are besetting all of us right now and how we can surrender but also keep on going. I want to invite you to join my new Facebook group that is devoted to heart-centered connection and unity. Through this Facebook group, you can also join my free access question and answer session with Spirit on the first Wednesday to Thursday of every month. Just search Ascension Community on Facebook to join the group. In this session, I answer questions and transmit energy from Spirit to give you guidance and support. Because life on planet Earth ain't easy right now, and there is so much help from above, from beings of love and light, from multidimensional realities who are actually here with us, wanting to step up and support us. I welcome you to become part of our ongoing group conversation about evolutionary change and how it's affecting us as human beings and affecting our life today. Many blessings to you. You can find out more about me and my work at www.ascensionlibrary.org. Have a wonderful day.
Announcing Dr. Jean Marie Farish's new book, Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations. This is the companion piece to Dr. Farish's best-selling book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being. Through the new book, we invite you to cultivate a lifestyle of love through daily devotional practices over a 21-day period, following 9 ingredients in the recipe of love. Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations is available on Amazon.com and Balboa Press. Best-selling Authors International news honors best-selling authors around the globe. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is featured in the newly released issue of Published magazine. To have first access to this treasured resource, go to publishedmagazine.com.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You are tuned in to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Feel free to connect with our program through email or check out our links on Facebook. Reach Jean at Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. That's Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. And now, back to Love Light.
Welcome back to Love Light, Living in the Spirit of Love. And if you're just joining us, we are with our outstanding guest, Karen Docherty, the woman with spirit, certainly an enlightening and empowering show. Karen is joining us from Scotland. She's an internationally renowned medium and mentor. And in our last segment, thank you so much, Karen, for sharing, the tools and strategies and some of your favorite stories to really enlighten our listeners. And as we move into this next segment, I would like for you to really talk about the power of intuition and ways to really develop our intuition.
Yeah, intuition, like I said before, people seem to think it's only for mediums or people that know about this, but we all have it. And, I think the easiest way to recognize that is that voice in your mind, when maybe you're looking at a situation or a person or a relationship and your inner voice is telling you something about that. And that is your intuition. And to develop that, I think the first thing is to realize that you need to trust it, and unfortunately, the human in you, the human mind, part of you wants to do what it wants to do. So as an example, you might be looking at a relationship, for instance, knowing that the person maybe isn't your person long term, or maybe isn't the person you should be with, but it's what you want. So the ego kind of takes over, but the inner voice is telling you all the time, no, this isn't the right move, and we kind of ignore it. And then we go through the situation and afterwards we say, I knew I shouldn't have done that, or I knew I shouldn't have chosen that path. And really, that's a learning curve. So there's nothing wasted about that. There's nothing that's wrong about that. But learning to kind of trust that inner voice, that intuition earlier, and just saying, okay, maybe it's not what I want, but it's what I obviously need, I think empowers the person quicker. It gives you a different view of life. And to develop that, really, it just starts by listening to it and testing yourself. Say to yourself, what do I think of X, Y, and Z? What do I think of that certain situation? And getting the answer and following it. And then when that turns out right, it gives you more trust within yourself, and you will learn to kind of keep empowering yourself that way.
That's so powerful. I know in my earlier years, I was more analytical. And that, can really be blocks, ways that we can block the messages and the guidance that we get, trying to figure it out ourselves. And any thoughts on that, being so analytical that you really block the intuitive hits that you get?
Yeah, I mean, that happens. Yeah, that happens all the time. And believe me, it happens even when you're a medium, because really, again, your ego kicks in, or there's something that maybe you overthink. And overthinking it does create anxiety, actually. So being analytical is good, but sometimes you've also got to learn to step into the emotional part of your soul and follow how you feel rather than how you think. Because we have to remember that the brain and the mind is for thinking, and it's for logical situations and making things logical and working things out. And your mind is there to protect you and keep you safe. And so, if you've seen a lion walking down the street, your mind's going to tell you to get out of the way because it's keeping you safe. So it does that in every situation. It makes things logical. It gives you reasons, but sometimes gives you answers that are wrong. It'll tell you something just to get you out the way of a situation or to keep you in a situation. So actually understanding that you need to feel the information, you need to feel the situation, you need to feel the energy of it. That's your spirit part of you, and that's the part that you should follow more. So the overthinking thing definitely does block certain things out. So what I would say is, of course, if you're going to overthink something or you're going to think it through very thoroughly, that's a good thing to do as well. But once you've done that, kind of park it to the side and say, okay, now I'm going to give myself a day or two to see how I feel about that. And actually concentrate on how you feel inside. Feeling comes through your clairsentience, which is your solar plexus, which is that middle of your body. It just comes into that way. So when you feel it in your gut, that's what you should be listening to.
That's great, because I think for me, it keeps me spinning and frustrated. And I'm more aware of that now. If I move into that intense analytical thinking, it's like, okay, just let it go, take a walk, get out in nature, let it go, and get out of that analytical mind. So thank you so much for sharing that. What about the clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, those clairs that are part of that, the power of intuition? Can you elaborate on those? Because people may not be, maybe missing things, missing the wisdom from within.
Yeah, I mean, the clairs that people talk about, especially as mediums, your clairvoyance is clear seeing, your claircognizance is clear knowing, clairaudience is clear hearing, and clairsentience is clear feeling. And you can use all of those faculties within your intuition and into your psychic ability. And as a medium, I use that to connect with spirit and connect psychically with people. So when I link with someone, my client will be in front of me and I will be able to link in with that person's soul, and I will see things through my clairvoyance, I will feel things through clairsentience. I will use all the clairs to kind of gauge where I am with that person. But also then I can turn that to the spirit world as well and feel them and see them, and they will show me things through my clairvoyance. But on a day-to-day level, for you and the individual person who wants to use the clairs within themselves, again, it's about practice, it's about development. None of this will come easily. And I think that's the thing that people also need to realize, is that it is hard work. It is hard work doing some development within yourself, but it's so worth it. It doesn't mean it's not joyous. It doesn't mean that you don't enjoy that part. But yes, you do have to practice, and you have to commit to yourself that you're going to practice those things.
That's so empowering. I was just thinking about those who get the hits, don't know where to put it. I think in my earlier years, I would see things. I would pick up things about, maybe a car accident that was going to happen or something. I'm like, why am I seeing this scene over and over? And it made me uncomfortable. And that was before I really understood a lot about myself. And I'm an empath as well, so I pick up on things. And then, of course, later, a colleague of mine was in a car accident. And then, it was like, okay, that's where, I saw this picture of like a floral arrangement of a bleeding heart, and I'm like, what? It scared me. I'm like, what is this? I didn't know where to put it. So for those who pick up on things, don't really know where to put it. And, like I said, in earlier years, it's like, what am I seeing? What is this about? Any thoughts about that for those who are empaths and maybe pick up on things and not know where to put it?
Yeah, it's quite daunting, isn't it? It is like you say, it can be frightening, or it can be something that might scare you a little bit because you don't know where it belongs, and you don't know if it's a true thought, you don't know if it's intuition, you don't know if it's your mind, playing tricks. So yeah, it can be frightening, but my view on that is, if, again, going back to what I said about feeling it, so if there's something that comes into mind through your clairvoyance, like you've seen, a vision of a car accident, what I would say is, don't overly think about it, but focus on the feeling of it, and kind of tell yourself, I'm going to focus on this for 5 minutes just to see, is this something that's coming through my gut feeling, or is this something that's in my mind? Because you have to remember as well that things outside of us, things on TV and radio and media can infiltrate our mind, and it might just be something playing over and over in our mind. So again, it's about that feeling. And I think that, even as a medium, it happens. I was in a car accident a couple of years ago, and the same thing happened with me, Jean, where on the drive up to the place I was going to, I kept seeing this vision of a car accident, and I kept having these thoughts, these random thoughts, I thought they were, of what would I do if I was trapped in a car? How would I get out? What would happen if I went round the corner too quickly? And then I kept catching the thoughts and saying, oh, why are you thinking that today? Remove that thought, that's negative. So I was kind of fighting within my own mind, and then nothing happened. And then on the way home, I had a terrible car accident that I was very lucky to walk away from, and I was trapped in the car. So in that instance, what's happened there is my spirit knew that was coming. My spirit was warning me on some level, and I just wasn't taking it that way. I was thinking my mind was playing tricks or whatever. So I totally agree with what you're saying, that sometimes it can be hard to differentiate between thoughts. So I wouldn't want people to get into a place of worrying about every thought that they had. So sit with it. Yeah, sit with it for 5 minutes, see how it makes you feel. And then you will start to know, is it a gut feeling that I'm getting, or is it just of my mind?
Thank you so much. I also want to share an experience I had. I had an object that I cherished, and I was traveling, and I dreamed about this object over and over, and I'm like, why am I dreaming about that? And I was traveling, and I laid the object down and left it, and I lost it. And I said, my goodness, perhaps if I followed my intuition, I would have been more aware and kept the object closer to me, or watched it or whatever, but I kept dreaming about it. But I'm like, why are you dreaming about that?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? But like you say, it keeps replaying over and over, and then you kick yourself, don't you, about listening to your intuition.
And self-trust. Can you highlight, the importance of self-trust? Because we doubt, and, perhaps we get distracted, and maybe if we're conversing with people who are not as insightful, they go, oh, don't think about that anymore. Don't even worry about that. How can we get off track, and how can we really learn to trust ourselves and move away from the fear of what we're dreaming or the visions that are coming, however the clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, however that works for you. How can we trust ourselves more?
Yeah, it's so difficult to trust, isn't it? It really is. And like I said before, it's just due to the mind telling you that, oh, that's not true. You'll feel something clairvoyantly or clairsentiently, and your mind will be the first to jump in and tell you it's not true or that there's something wrong or whatever. So it is learning, again, to just find your own knowledge, find your own feet with your feelings, your presence of spirit. And once you start to blend with your own spirit truly through meditation or just through learning, you will start to know, well, no, that doesn't feel like my mind. You will just start to become familiar with it. And that's the only thing that really builds the trust, if I'm honest. It's not something that you can switch on or switch off. It's something that takes time. And learning to feel yourself and your own spirit presence is the only way that you're really going to develop that trust long term.
So important. So Karen, can you tell us more about your services, your mentorship programs, your readings, so that listeners can connect with you and how to connect with you?
Of course. So anyone can connect with me at my website, which is www.karendocherty.com. And on there is access to all the podcasts that I've done. So there's a lot of educational things on there, but there's also access to information on the mentorship, because I do help develop people in whatever level that they're at. So it's not just for advanced mediums. It's for anyone that wants to learn about psychic skills and things like that, and personal development and spiritual development. So there is access to apply for that. I do only take a few people at a time for that, because one-to-one mentorship for me means exactly that it's a one-to-one, and it means that I get to know the person and really know what their soul needs. So it's a really exclusive program, but really amazing. So that's on there as well. And of course, readings, sessions, I read for people all over the world via Zoom or telephone. So that's all on there. Anyone can access any of that information.
Well, thank you so much, Karen, for being on our very special Valentine's Day show, showing us just how to dwell in spirit and live in love. And thanks for all that you do to help others anchor in the spirit, and for sharing a space for discussion on the power of spirit. We invite listeners to tune in to our show and share with others, connect with Karen to go deeper. And I'm so grateful for this valuable session today. I'll close with an excerpt on self-discernment. Trust the wisdom in your heart that is pure, peaceful, and gentle. Inner knowing resounds inner truth, bringing clarity, courage, and stability. Refrain from arguing with thoughts and distractions from what is right, good, and true. Be not deceived by empty words, false promises, and manipulation. Trust and honor your truth. Allow quiet time to be with yourself. Trust your gut feelings to guide your choices. Stand firm in your personal power. You will not be led astray. This is Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host. And until we meet again, remember, an empowered self is a loving self. And keep your love light shining. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to Love Light this week. Be sure to join Dr. Jean Marie Farish again for another program next Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and noon Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Have a wonderful week filled with love, self-worth, and better connections.